I think I'll take that as a win. Hi everyone, apologies for the mobile phone footage, but I just wanted to quickly show you this. This is a Jaguar S-Type electric sunblind. Quite a rare option, but was available on the Jaguar S-Types. And the composition is such that we have a motor here and a motor there, and you've got two arms that the motors drive, one here and another one over here. And what should happen is the sunblind should rise up, and that's controlled by a switch in the passenger compartment, just where the console switches, the interior light switches are, and there's a button there. And what it does, it should just reverse the polarity going to the live current feed there. And the reason I'm showing it here on this bench is because the one that's fitted to my 2003 Jaguar S-Type R is completely broken. The motors do actuate, but nothing else happens. It's not jammed or stuck. I think generally source this one from Germany, and what I want to do is just see if it's feasible to detach this piece of trim finish here. You can see it's beige. My one is actually charcoal grey. So what I'm hoping to do is, if I can remove this and detach this from the sunblind, then when I come to remove mine in better weather conditions, retrieve the charcoal black finish, the trim on here, and swap it with this one, and then I'll have a working sunblind with the correct trim colour on it. Okay, so the trim is held on by a tiny, and it is absolutely tiny, it's a Torx T6, so that just slots in there. Okay, so I've taken the arms off. So the blind itself is spring loaded, so it has obviously retracted, not a problem. What I've also done, I've got one of my little mini punches out, and just in there, it's probably going to be quite tricky to see, but just I'll put where the rail is, and what I've been able to do is then push out just over here. You can see the other end, the guide, and part of the blind sticking out. So what I hope to be able to do now is extract that part of the blind, and then what that should enable me to do is probably just go and remove this. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. This just literally slid off. So you can see just where I'm pointing with the device, with the trim shall I say, there's a small steel metal pole that runs through the seam of the material there. That literally just slides into the groove just there where my thumb is, and you slide it on, slide it off. So that's really kind of good news, because now it means that when eventually we get round to taking the sunblind off the 2003 Jaguar S-Type R, I just get to repeat the same process. Good morning. So we're back with the 2003 S-Type R today. So today I'm hoping to replace the sunblind. So that's the strip at the back there. It's an electronic sunblind. It's never worked. It's made lots of random noises. I've managed to source an alternative unit from Germany, and I'm going to have to strip out quite a bit of the car to get to it. Well, so I thought. So the Jaguar manual says that I need to take out the seat cushion here. There'll be two release tangs just located underneath the seat cushion, which would release that. I then need to pull through the belts to free it off. I then need to free off another tang that's located in here to remove the bolster, take out the weather strip just here to allow access there, do the same on the other side. Then once all that's clear, somehow miraculously release the seats, but it doesn't actually go into any details of how you do that. Then it's a case of removing various bits of trim for the seat belts, also the child safety upper constraint bolts and covers, and then eventually you get access to the parcel shelf. Oh, I missed also the C-pillars as well that would need to come off or come out or get loose to allow access and ingress of the parcel shelf. So quite a lot to it. However, a little bit of research online and also a bit of musing as to how you actually release these seats. There's 4 bolts holding the bottom section of this, but the seats are clearly held in by something, and something that's unique to the Jaguar S-Type R is a metal brace, and we'll see that later when we get stuck into the job. There's a metal brace plate in here to provide about an extra 10% stiffness in handling, in chassis rigidity. So that's been put in there. That means that by design, by default, these seats don't actually split, except they do. So what I was able to do was have a rummage in the boot or the trunk, and if I come down in here, if you go to the far corner, remove this, then you can actually find, here's mine I prepared earlier. There, seat release. And then just on the other side, if I come along and try and untangle this, another seat release. So this actually proves out that it is possible to release the seats. Now a normal regular S-Type would have these mounted somewhere around here and you just pull them. So it's really just a case with the S-Type R that you just need to find them behind the boot liners. So there we have it. Seats are now dropped down. Seat belts. But also here's that metal bracing, which is why the S-Type R doesn't advertise the fact that you can drop the seats. The bracing's in there for stiffness reasons, and obviously having this shielding here, this metal strengthening structure here, means it's not much point dropping the seats. However, there's about 9 of these bolts located at various locations, which means that actually if you really wanted to, not sure why you'd want to, but if you really wanted to, you could remove it. Maybe if just on a temporary basis, but to be honest, an S-Type R is not really a load lugging car, in my humble opinion. So let's get cracking. Next steps are to release the bolsters, and actually, just up here, there's a release tang. I'm just going to flick that down, and then that's come out. And I'll go and do the same on the other side, and then I'll start removing the weather strips, allow this a bit of room to manoeuvre. Okay, you can see the bolster's been released, and also the C-pillar trim has now been released. Now, interestingly, this strap, oops, sorry, it's a bit difficult to move. This strap here should still be plugged in up there. The whole idea is that the airbag, which you can just see here, should that detonate due to an impact, a side impact probably, then that strap there should stop this whole bit of plastic becoming a projectile and crushing you in the side of the head. So I need to make sure that strap is properly fitted. I don't think it was. I literally just removed the weather strip, pulled the weather strip back, started applying the C-pillar trim even, and it just came away quite easily. So I didn't even need any of my special tools. You can see in there the box just to the left hand side there, that's the antenna isolation one. You've got the bracket there as well. I don't think I'm going to remove that, even though the manual says I need to. I think there's going to be sufficient clearance to get the parcel shelf out without disturbing that, which is good news. So I'm now going to do exactly the same activity on this side and just look to remove this C-pillar trim. Okay, so I think this may be the rear stoplight, either that or the sunblind, not sure yet, but just a little connector that comes apart. It is actually affixed via a little bracket where my finger is there. So there's the mounting bracket on the back of this connector. If you unhook it, it makes it a little bit easier to then actually get it apart. On the other side, we've got this connector here, which just goes in to that mounted connector there. That goes off over here, so I'm thinking of that. There's also another one up here, but I think that may be to do with the amp, and I don't think I need to remove that one, so I'll leave that well be. So next thing is to take off these little child upper restraining clip things for straps. I think it'll just pop off. 3 of them to do it on the back there, and then we're on to just these parcel shelf securing bits here, and then I think we're nearly ready to move the parcel shelf. So the bolts are now removed. They are literally a 10mm bolt holding the whole arrangement down like so. 3 of them along the top. Now we're just going to get onto these fasteners just here. So as I say, the bolts are out, and the only other thing I've done is just taken off the seatbelt clip and also used a trim removal tool just to take out the securing fasteners. Shelf is now free, parcel shelf. A little bit fiddly. In the end, I did have to remove the antenna connections from over here and around here. Just 2 10mm bolts holding the thing in. Moved it clear, and that gave me enough wiggle room, which also meant that I did not have to disturb too much the electronics over there. So over there is the analog TV modules in the C-pillar area. All I've done is remove the lower bolt and just loosen the top bolt, both 10mm again, just above the seat belt, just to give me a little bit of wiggle room, and that enabled me to get the parcel shelf out. So now I just want to look for the locating bolts on the sunblind, electric sunblind, and then I shall look to remove that and then compare with the replacement unit, because I do have a bit of a concern about the connection plugs. It looks quite different, which is so. On here there's a number of screws that need to be extracted, one there and a few others there, and there's about 5 in total. And then there's some more screws, one here, one on the bracket in the middle, and one on the other side. All of these are T20 Torx, so that's fine. So meanwhile, I've looked at the electrical connection, and I'm a bit happier now, because I now see this is mounted to the sunblind, and I now have a connection the same as the replacement sunblind, and I can see what's going on. Hopefully this unit isn't faulty. I've no reason to think it is, but we'll test it. So next challenge is to flip this over and look at trying to remove the black trim off the top of the sunblind, and if I can do that, then this should just slide out quite comfortably, and then I can have a side-by-side comparison. So I now have both electric sunblinds side by side. So the one I've extracted out of the S-Type R is just here. Definitely looks older than this one here. I think this one dates from 2007. The other one probably would have been 2002. I think what I need to do is transfer over this unit here onto this bracket just here. And also I need to transfer over the, where's it gone? This bracket here, and that will sit on this one here. I also need to refit the arms onto this donor one. So the box is off, which is good news. The challenge I had was with this, there's a little metal bump that holds it in place, so I've literally just had to cut through here because it's impossible to get purchase around here or around the sides with anything. So I've literally had to cut across here with a hacksaw, and then it's been able to come off. The good news is it hasn't made it too loose, so that bracket is still fit for purpose. And what I should be able to do now is transfer it over to the donor electric sunblind. So the little box has been transferred over and the cable is fitted up. I've also transferred over the top rail and refitted the arms just here, and this is just a T20 Torx there and another one there. Okay, before I actually put the ends on, I'm actually going to need to refit this onto the parcel shelf, because if I put the ends on it won't fit through the gap. But first of all, I just want to pulse this to retract this back into the closed position, and then I'll just test it a few times to make sure it's okay before we fit it back into the car. Okay, we've got there in the end. The arms, new arms are attached, and the blind is collapsed, ready to go back into the parcel shelf. Okay, so I've been able to fit the blind back in. It was a bit of a tight fit with the screws obviously slightly out compared to this, the donor electric sunblind, but I've been able to put these bits on and tighten up, and it's pretty much trial fitted, a little bit tighter than that perhaps, and so far so good. Hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate it actually coming up and down. There's up. Now if I just reverse the polarity, go down. Having tested the integrity of the sunblind, now it's installed up to this point. There's another bit here we need to test later on when the sunblind's more in place on the parcel shelf. But the next step is really just to clean up and re-secure the insulation. It's a bit messy, and also the wiring. So what I'm going to do for the wiring, I'm going to just use some insulation tape and just stick that into place, just to keep it nice and secure. And then I'm actually going to use some of these sellotape sticky hook and loop self-adhesive pads. So one will go on the yellow ones will probably go on the back of this shelf, and the other ones probably on the backing of the material, the insulation material, and then we could just pin it all into place so it looks a bit tidy and doesn't get caught up when we're trying to refit. Okay, so the next test is with the electric sunblind plugged into the main wiring loom, so I can control it from the switch. So I'm just going to turn on the ignition to position 2, which I've just done. Now I'm going to hit the center console button and test it. Yep. And back down again. Okay, I've tied up a little bit in here. Just at a point now where I want to offer up the parcel shelf back up onto the metal shelf there. I've tied up some of the loose stuff, and so now if I offer that up, I can start putting everything back together. Parcel shelf is partly installed. I've got the fastenings 1, 2, 3 back in place. I've also got the child restraint bolts, these ones here, one there, one over there, and one over there. They're in place as well without their covers. And I've also just connected up the sunblind. So what I'm going to do now is test that to make sure I've not dislodged anything. So C-pillar's now back in. Quite a fiddly job, as there's a few bits of plastic to line up to make sure they're successfully engaged, but it is possible. It is doable, and that's now there, and I've got the weather strip back in as well. So now I'm just going to turn to the other side. Oh, I should just mention, before I did all of this, I reconnected all the radio antenna equipment as well. So there's two 10mm bolts and just the connections to the rear screen as well. And then just over here, the two 10mm bolts in there as well. Reconnected the rear stop lamp as well. And now I'm going to go through a similar exercise of just cleaning up the C-pillar trim. Okay, so both the bolsters are in this section here, and over there C-pillar is nice and secure. Just going to pop the all-weather trim back into place, and then it's a case of just bringing up the foldable rear seats. Well, final checks have been completed. A bit of a clean up in here. Blind is okay, everything's working okay. So jobs are good. And well, thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you found some of this content useful. Otherwise, thanks very much. Plenty of content coming along very soon.